Gary Trey Taylor. What's going on today, sir?
What's up, man? What's up with you, man?
Nothing much, man. How was your day?
Busy, man. Busy, man. You know, the field of mental health doesn't sleep. It doesn't sleep.
It doesn't sleep at all, huh?
Nah, man. It don't sleep. Long time.
Let's go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself, man. What do you do for a living?
Well, I am a career master social worker by trade, working on my license for supervision. Been in the field of mental health for about several years, and currently still doing a lot of community work, a lot of mental health advocacy, around African Americans, trying to reduce that stigma, man. So,
what is the stigma behind that, Trey?
Well, you know, black folks, they don't like to go see nobody. They don't like to go see the doctor. They think that anything mental health related is, they feel like they're crazy. And I see a lot of times that we just don't understand how to deal with stress enough. I think sometimes we just want to be okay within ourselves and our households. Don't tell nobody about it. Don't need nobody's business. It's my business alone, instead of actually getting some help. So
I feel that. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that, definitely.
You know, so, I mean, hopefully, you know, and we starting this YouTube channel, hopefully to break down those barriers and break down those stigma behind mental health in the black communities, but also mental health in general. It's okay to get help, you know, and it's okay to talk to somebody. Of course, please do not use this YouTube video and the channels and the topics that we discuss as therapy. If you need therapy, please go seek a therapist. This is not a supplement. We just want to educate people about mental health in the black community, but also mental health in general as well.
There you go. So, Trey, how long you been in the field for?
Several years, man. You know what's crazy is that I was thinking about it not too long ago. When I was a kid, I used to always ask the question, why do people act or think the way they do? And I didn't start thinking about it till maybe in the actual depths of me working a couple months ago. I was like, I actually always probably should have been in psychology. I had hoop dreams. I wanted to go hoop. I wanted to go to the NBA. But I went to school, graduated from VCU, undergrad in psychology. And I was a business major there. Switched to psychology and really got involved in the mental health stuff, man. So I've been involved probably in mental health about several years, but as far as wanting to deal with mental health, I'd probably say I actually wanted to do it since a kid. Just didn't know how to go about doing it because, again, there's a stigma related to mental health in the black community.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, man. So, but several years in it, and then I'm trying to shift the focus because I'm really big on the policy avenue and the advocacy and the education component of it. If anything you get from this YouTube channel, you know, watching our videos and stuff like that, you're going to be able to understand what mental health is and what is mental illness, and being able to differentiate between the two, and understand how to deal with your stresses, understand how to deal with, you know, multiple things that relate to your mental health. A lot of people don't know, they don't understand that, you know, mental health is related to our physical health, and physical health is related to our mental health. So, yo, Kenny, check this out. So, if you stressed out and you're not sleeping well at night, you know, then the next morning or the next day, you're going to be a little bit more anxious. You're going to have some irritability. You might go to work and you be like, man, I don't feel like dealing with none of these cats today because I'm done. I ain't getting enough sleep. That's all mental health, though.
Right.
That's all mental health. The ability for us to even be shooting this video and us to moving around and getting up to do things throughout the day takes mental health, not just physical health. So, you know, I cringe sometimes when people don't understand the actual significance of mental health in our everyday life.
Right.
You know, you watching this video right now takes some form of mental health, you know, but automatically when we think mental, we think crazy. It's not it.
And that's not the fact at all. That's not the point.
No, that's it, man. It's not. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It actually means you're really human at the end of the day, because
mental health is just as important as physical health, like you said.
Yeah. And we all, at some form of fashion, like I said, we have to think or cognitively believe or think or do these things to do them. Like we do them. I'm driving, so I'm cognitively present here while talking to you. But that takes mental health. If I if my mental health was in a bad place, this might be difficult for me.
Right.
Might be difficult to focus. Might be difficult to see the cars passing by. Might be sleep deprived. Might be stressed out. Might be crying. Those are all mental health components. And when you get to the mental illness, that's a whole different story, because the mental, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't take that tone as me just saying it's a difference. But the mental illness is when you have those symptoms that persist for over an extended period of time.
Now, Trey, let me ask you this: are you happy that mental health is more talked about now, especially like amongst celebrities and amongst big avenues and big venues now?
I am. I really am. I think that we're working to reduce the stigma around it, and more people are actually waking up and understanding that mental health is a big component of everyday life. I never understood with the celebrities, man, like how they maintain their life, like paparazzi here, attending this events here, and doing this blog or vlog here and this interview here. That's constant. Boom, boom, boom. You think about the everyday struggle that we have just working on 9 to 5s. And then being pulled left and right if you got a family, or you in meetings at work and doing community stuff, doing church events. The celebrity, that's times 100. And somehow they got to figure out how to maintain their mental health too. So I would think that celebrities are more at risk.
Exactly.
More at risk for that. So I'm glad that they're using their platforms to actually reduce that stigma, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It's important, man. It's important because, again, we're human. So we think.
So, Trey, we had to stop and make that food pit stop at Chick-fil-A.
Shout out Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has been a staple of the Taylor household. Yeah, Chick-fil-A, we need a bag, yo.
That sweet tea be always perfectly ratioed, if that's a word. I'm sorry.
Ratioed.
Yeah. Yeah, ratio. Whatever.
Nah,
hey.
They got some good brewed sweet tea.
There we go. Thank you.
Fresh sweet tea, yeah.
Guys, my introduction will come later, but I'm an IT guy and my brain is mush right now, so you're going to have to bear with me.
Somebody tell Chef Bundy, man, they going to get to know you sooner or later, man. You behind the lens and you already popping with your YouTube channel, brother.
Oh, my God.
So I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up,
Hey, but yeah, them waffle fries from Chick-fil-A would just be life.
Hey, man. Chick-fil-A, we need a bag. Also for my podcast.
We always getting the Lord's calories. The Lord's calories. Hashtag.
They really do have good things. There's nothing really bad on the menu, though.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. You had the salads, you had the wraps.
Yep.
You had the nuggets. Have you had the tenders?
No. Yeah. I have
not tried the tenders yet.
The tenders are decent. They're pretty decent because mom's job, they be giving them the Chick-fil-A sometimes for breakfast in the mornings.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Boom. So
stress triggers.
Stress triggers. How to deal with stress. We could probably do a whole month videos about stress.
We really could. Because stress and stress triggers, they kind of go hand in hand, especially the bigger ones are coming from at work. Hold on, we got a little page break. People, we'll be right back. My bad, we're back. Had a little technical difficulty with something.
Y'all know how you shoot. We can talk about stress. Money is a big stress.
Yes, Lord.
Oh my God, man. Yo, finances is crazy.
Say
man.
it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, man, that's one big thing, man. But so stress. People talk about stress, and then they use stress to
self-diagnose themselves.
Self-diagnose, but they also they don't understand the actual depths of stress. We say you have regular stress that makes you this negative, that negatively affects you and makes you feel bad or makes you feel down, makes you feel depressed or makes you feel anxious, can't sleep, this, that, the third. Then you have good stress, which is called eustress. And shout out to my boy Rashawn down in Charlotte, who has his own nonprofit dedicated called Youth Stress Incorporated that does a lot of mental health advocacy and mental health work.
Shout out to Rashawn. We'll put his links and stuff in the description below.
Yes, he'll do. He got all that. But yeah, so that's the difference between. So you got good stress. The good stress allows you the ability to perform or to get through a task at times. So that's good stress. And then you have the stress that negatively affects you and is detrimental to you. Stress affects you in the mental capacity and the physical capacity. That's why we always talk about how mental health, physical health go hand in hand.
But Trey, let's talk about this. So let's give the people some examples of the big topic about how work stress can trigger some anxiety.
Well, how you want to go about that now? Because it's so many different ways.
Let's just give them a few examples. We can go in deeper detail, later on. But let's just give like some few main examples. Like, okay, say like how people get anxiety when their boss talks to them or needs to talk to them, or like,
right.
Or if their boss, brings something to their attention, or their boss needs them to do something work related and it adds on to their ever growing workload, like things like that.
Better yet, I got you. Okay, I got you. So stress. Let's look at stress in the workplace, like when you work in a very stressful career or an environment. So those things, like when you wake up and then you get ready for work and then you start to dread it and you just like, I don't feel like going to work. It's gonna be another long day. My boss is gonna be on my back. And then once you get to the door, you feel like this weight on top of your chest. You feel very anxious. You get all flustered, and it takes you a while to get into the mode of working. That's stress. And for example, like when I started my job, I do crisis work, so I do crisis therapy. But I would when I was working there, I used to get chest pains, and I was trying to figure out why I used to get so much stress pains. Now I did have a bout of high blood pressure, which we'll talk about in some other videos down the line. But I used to get chest pains. I did the stress test. I went to the cardiologist. I did the whole thing when you're running on the treadmill and they got all the little electrodes all over your body and stuff like that. And come to find out, there wasn't nothing wrong with my heart. Everything was intact. But the doctor was like, you're stressed out. What I realized is that I was internalizing stress. Mm-hmm. And when I say internalize it, that means you get stressed out, but you don't show it. And what you do is internalize it. So that big weight that you get, like when you have working all day, you push through all of that stress and you push through all the anxiety that you have at the job, and then you come home and you just kind of collapse. That's stress being internalized, that you're not finding a way to release it. And a lot of people don't work through that stress while they're at job because they think that they're at their job, so all they have to do is work. Stress affects us mentally, it affects us physically, and in my case, it affected me physically. So I had to come up with different stress components, the way to deal with my stress, because it could have ended up killing me, in the long run. And so in what ways I dealt with trying to combat that stress at my job was that, I take less days to, I was working extra days. I wouldn't take as many extra days to work. I would come home and have an hour or two to decompress, meaning that I would come home after I got off work and sat and did nothing. And then I would go do a task. I try to incorporate some more exercising into my routine. I try to incorporate writing and journaling into my routine. I try to make more time and effort for self-care so I can be a better employee and I can make myself healthy physically and mentally. But again, that's just a prime example as far as how stress can affect you and what ways you have to deal with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes some very good points though. But let's tell them how important decompressing is and self-care.
Again, we could do this all day. We could do that all day.
Let's just give them like some simple tidbits, like how important it is, like just a main fact. Like why is decompressing after something strenuous so important for your self-care?
Well, because you don't want to decompress. you coming from a stressful environment, going into another stressful environment makes things more stressful. You don't get the time, the mind, the body, anything to calm down and rest. I think people think that we should be, because we're humans and we can do all things, we think we should be able to push through every single thing, which is not the case. The mind, the body will eventually shut you down if you let it, and if it gets to that point. So it's important that you find the time and avenues to decompress, whether that be you get off work and you take some time to yourself to relax, whether you journal, take some time there, whether it's exercising after to get off that stress. Maybe it's you just watching television. I like to just watch basketball. Coming from a long, stressful day, and I have a family, but we take turns when trying to deal with one another's stress level. So I just watch basketball and don't do nothing else but watch basketball. And by you decompressing helps your self-care, because the decompress affects how your self-care is monitored and actually is working throughout a daily basis. Because if you're not decompressing and not practicing good self-care on a daily basis, those things build up. So all that stress that you have continues to compound. Like we said in the earlier video, it can affect your sleep, it can affect your mood. Those things can pile up on a daily basis at small levels until they get to a point where they're uncontrollable. And then sometimes that can manifest into a mental illness, sometimes that can manifest into a medical condition. And so, shameless plug, I have a mental health manual coming out called Mental Health Keys that will give you the ability to manage your mental health symptoms, so that you can see on a daily basis and a weekly basis and also a monthly basis on how you're managing your mental health symptoms. Because again, mental health is daily, right? It's how we deal with daily stressors, going back to that stressors thing. How we deal with our daily stressors, how we manage it, how we decompress, and how do we take care of ourselves mentally and physically. We were moving a little bit differently, and this wasn't my vehicle anymore. And this is the wife's car. You have to drive the wife's car differently, because she drives it more aggressively. Cut that out.
Ooh, I'm telling.
Don't you tell, man. Don't you tell.